What's going on, y'all? Back with another quick conversation I wanted to have with you guys and get your opinion on this. Um, I was thinking, I have been thinking about this for a minute, kind of related to what we discussed last week about building a team rather than doing everything in this DJ game by yourself. Um, I was thinking about the mentality of how you approach the industry. And what I mean by this is the abundance versus scarcity mentality. I know that when I first started out, my mentality personally was, oh, I have to, kind of scrounge up and take every gig I can, partly to get experience, which is not a bad reason, but also it's like, I don't know when the next one's gonna come. Uh, Partly because I didn't have the experience. But as I kind of matured in this industry and got more experience and got more gigs under my belt and, more skills under my belt, my mentality shifted. Also, around this time, I was reading a lot of self development books, a lot of business books, just something I'm into. And the idea of abundance versus scarcity mentality is something that kept coming up. And it's something that has affected me in the way I approach this industry. And as I've also seen it affect other people in this industry. And if you haven't heard of these terms before in this context, a scarcity mentality would be kind of, I guess in this DJ industry's example would be thinking that if you don't get that gig, someone else is taking it from you, right? Whereas an abundance mentality is if you don't get the gig, that's okay because there will be others coming along down the line. And while this seems a little counterintuitive at first, I'll say that the biggest difference in this mindset is how you come off to people. When you have a scarcity mentality, it's not just you worrying about the gig and worrying about getting whatever rate or money that's associated with that, but because you're thinking that way, you start treating people differently. You start acting a little differently, or I shouldn't say differently, but acting a certain way, treating people in a certain way. I know in last week's video, I talked about building genuine relationships rather in comparison to building relationships because you're expecting something in return. It's kind of that same idea, right? Where if the only reason you're building a relationship with somebody is because you're expecting something in return, that's a scarcity mentality because you're only reaching out to people and only broadening your network because you want something and you're expecting to receive something from those people. So that's the only reason why you're putting that energy out there. Whereas in an abundance mentality, you're genuinely building a relationship with people because you know deep down inside, the more genuine relationships you have, not just in this business, but in the world in general, that more things will come back to you just because you're putting that positive energy out there. And like I mentioned in last week's video, this is something that I've experienced firsthand, and this is something that I've seen either benefit people that have that abundance mentality and also hurt people that have that scarcity mentality. When you meet a DJ that comes to your gigs and you just have this kind of idea in the back of your head and this feeling that, oh, they're only here because they want something, right? Maybe they want a gig, maybe, they are looking to steal ideas from you, or whatever the case is. We've all had that situation where someone hops in a DJ booth that might be a friend of a friend of a friend that we've maybe heard about in the past, and they show up, you're surprised by it, And also you can just tell like their energy's a little off. In my experience, 9 times out of 10, it really breaks down to that scarcity versus abundance mentality, where when you meet someone for the first time, they give you, they might not know you the best, but they give you like just great energy. They're being genuine, they're talking to you when appropriate, especially in a DJ booth context. And it just feels like, oh, this is someone I can get along with, right? You don't feel like they're expecting something in return. That feels completely different than that other example I gave. And from experience, from when I was starting out, having that idea, I guess, it kind of breaks down to having the wrong ideas about that term, that phrase, your network is your net worth. If you kind of misunderstand what a real network is, then everything that kind of spawns off of that comes off in the wrong way. If you think your network is just people that you can gain things from because of their stature, what, like the level of DJ or whatever, manager, if that's all you're basing it off of because you want that connection rather than just becoming friends with somebody or becoming better acquaintances with somebody and having that, genuine energy of just wanting to get to know this person, and maybe somewhere down the line they'll throw something your way. I've had so many more opportunities come to me because of like, hey, I heard this person's cool, they're a friend of a friend. I trust this person's, judgment of character. Let me, reach out that same friendly hand that I reach out to my homie. And doing that multiple times and just getting to know people, I've gotten so many more gigs and just so many more positive things in my career come back to me rather than meeting someone once or twice and asking them for something, right? And I'm guilty of that early on in my career when I first, that your network is your net worth was beaten into my head. I was going about it in the wrong way. And my career, now, don't get me wrong, I wasn't intentionally doing anything shady or whatever the case is, but my naivete, my just inexperience, and my scarcity mentality of like, oh, I need to get big fast, I need to like level up fast, rather than having your own path and, traveling at your own speed. That energy deep down inside of like, oh, I need to get this far. There's a point in which, there's a difference between drive, there's a difference in motivation, where if you're willing to just step over people and all of that bad shit, like that's going to hinder you more than you think it's helping you. Now, yes, I've seen people make it pretty decently far just having that kind of mentality of like, oh, just building relationships that are transactional. But the people that I've seen have long, fruitful careers in this space and in many other creative spaces are people that have that abundance mentality of like, oh, let me just build this relationship with this person genuinely and just keep building that network genuinely. And because of the kind of real energy that I'm giving out to these people, it comes back. And it comes back in the form of gigs, it comes back in the form of different opportunities, it comes back in the form of meeting other people that are of the same stature or higher. It comes back in so many ways. And it's something that doesn't sound believable, really, especially if you have a scarcity mentality. But I promise you that if you change the way you think about your career and what you're looking to get to, or where you're looking to get to, and how you're willing to get there, it can completely change the trajectory of where you're going to get to and where you're going to go and how far you're going to go in this game. And it's not something that just is a switch that you turn. It's a decision you make over and over and over again when you meet people, when you get new opportunities, how you treat the people in the places that you get to play. It's something that you just have to keep reminding yourself of time and time again until it just becomes second nature. And if you get it wrong a couple times along the way, as long as your intentions are to get better and let go of that scarcity mentality, I promise you, you'll see positive results from that shift in your mindset. Well, that's all I got for this week. Of course, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. And I'd love to know your thoughts on all of this. Please leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I will be sure to read each and every comment and respond to, however many that I can. And if you're looking for more DJ related content, please be sure to click on one of the videos right here, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.